Hi, good evening. Thanks again for joining us for this edition of S.H.E Gallery. I'm Trickster, your host, and we are live on CAN TV. As you know, we've been having a series of in-depth talks about graffiti and street art, and today we have a very interesting topic that we're going to cover. It's going to be called technology. It's going to be about technology. Again, give us a call in tonight, 312-738-1060. We're live on CAN TV with the S.H.E Gallery show. Okay, in previous episodes, we've talked about different aspects as it relates to the graffiti and street art movement. Our previous episode was a very in-depth talk about entrepreneurship, and we talked in depth about different aspects of how a person may be just embarking or even maybe seasoned could pursue different aspects of entrepreneurial activities. Tonight we're going to delve a little bit further into this, and we're going to talk about specific aspects of technology that are in development as it relates to the graffiti and street art movement. And also we're going to look at some media and go through some basic concepts, because again, as we are always focusing on the graffiti-based form and its connection to writing in general. And what we want to do is be able to reference these different aspects as it relates to the art form directly, because they are direct as they relate to structuring different aspects of the mechanistic aspects of the form. Okay, so we're going to have some media coming up shortly. Let me pull this up, and we'll get a chance to delve deeper. All right, give us a call, 312-738-1060. We are currently midway, just about past midway on our series and episodes. I hope you've been enjoying it. Again, you can visit us online at sharinghisenergygallery.net. And look up our episode for CAN TV in this season. All right, let me pull up some media here. All right, we're going to look at a different. We're going to look at a video on YouTube, or a couple of videos. One is one of my creations for a workshop and class that I host, and I talk a lot about mechanics. Because a big aspect of technology as it relates to this art form is on structuring, and the major component of what we're talking about tonight being technology, as mechanics and structuring relating to technology and manipulation of different elements to create technology is what our focus is on. And then additionally, as in previous episodes, we looked at the concept of the language being a core aspect of the written form, and it being a visual indicator of such. And so when we look at mechanics, as I said, the language structure being like a machine in essence. It has a series of working components, and these working components make up a system or a machine that functions in any form or fashion to depict and to reference anything that we could potentially imagine or visualize in the natural world. So it is mechanistic in a sense, and in being such, it is a technology, and which is my focus and emphasis tonight on the concept of its structuring, it being leading to language, and being in itself mechanistic in its makeup. Humans have been speaking for a couple 100,000 years before they got the inspiration or nerve to mark their ideas down for posterity. So symbolic communication systems are distinguished from writing systems, and that one must usually understand something of the associated spoken language to comprehend the text. So with that being said, as we look at graffiti and other street forms, and you look at like the structuring of these letter forms, and how we have these emphasis on different styles among crews. It relates to this in essence, and in the concept of the structuring in one, and then in addition to its symbolic relations. So writing being the physical manifestation of a spoken language, correct? So it is a thought that language being developed, of course, essentially maybe 35,000 years ago or so, right around that, and then artistic paintings that developed at that time were depictive in the sense that we knew that it represented language because of the story that was told from the artwork that was depicted. So that's the difference between the pictorial image and the written image. All right, so we're going to look at some video, and as we're talking about technology, writing essentially being the most, one of the most, if not one of the most essential inventions made, through mankind and what have you, to carry the culture on. So that's why I said we look at writing being an essential component of civilization collectively. All right, and another cool fact I'd like to mention before we look at this video is the fact of the first invention after the forming or essential forming of America being a writing tool, a writing pen, which was created by Thomas Edison. It was the first electric-powered writing device or mechanistic device that was patented in America. And what's essential is about to know about that is that tool, which was created in the 1800s, became what is known now today as the tattoo gun. So I thought that'd be cool to mention that when we talk about technology, and technology being indifferent from other types of forms that can be created that can employ motion, it being having an electrical counterpart to it to make it actually technical or technology. All right, so let's look at this video about mechanics and structuring and letter forms. And real quick, before we begin, as we talk, a core aspect of what we talk about
is the
being letter forms and how letter forms are structured and how they relate to phonetic values of language. The basis for these elements of how language are determined are done here in Chicago, and that reference for the English language is the essential guide for all writers. Anybody who are writers, editors, and publishers utilize this book. It's called the Chicago Manual of Style. I reference this because we're talking about, the structure of language and its relation to technology.
Mechanics is the study of the laws of motion of material bodies. Motion is change of position in time. But the concept of motion involves not only the concepts of space and time, but also the concept of what moves. And this need not, in general, be a material body. As in the motion of water itself, as opposed to the motion of the particles that make up the water. In this case, what moves is not matter, but a certain state of which we have affixed our attention to. The simplest material body is a material point. That is, a body whose spatial dimensions are vanishingly small compared to or with all the dimensions that play a part in its motion. A line of force cannot return into itself, but must either go off into infinity or end, or rather pause at a singular point. Mechanical energy consists of two parts: the kinetic energy, which is the energy of motion, and the potential energy, the energy of position. Their sum remains constant in all purely mechanical processes. There are no mechanical forces in nature except those between material points. Every material point moves in response to the resultant of the forces which are exerted on it by all the remaining points of the omniverse.
Okay, so we're going to pause here for a moment. Some of this this content may be quite involved for those who may not have an active reference to such information or such ideas and concepts as they relate to graffiti and street art. Some may have reference to it in other ways. But I'm giving credence to this or depicting this to give visualization to some of the principles that we utilize when we structure letter forms. A lot of them are akin to the natural order. A lot of them are spontaneous, and they represent the organic side of things, per se. And one interesting thing about all of this, in a collective sense, is the importance. One may ask, what is the importance of relating such information in this fashion? What I would say to those who ponder such information or ponder such questions is essentially man being a sedentary culture, meaning settling down to create civilization, and writing being the core aspect of ensuring that can be done properly, as you have to keep catalog of things and goods and things of that nature. So writing was essentially the core which made that possible. Now, one must say without it, because 35,000 years of language prior to writing, and human not having an inspiration or need to because of them constantly moving and traveling. Becoming a sedentary culture, meaning to come together collectively and develop a civilization, is what made these endeavors to form this technology of writing. And as it relates to graffiti and why it persists today is our topic. Join us live. We're here on CAN TV. You can give us a call in. You can reach us online at cantv.org/hotline. I'm your host, Trickster. This is the S.H.E Gallery Show. All right, so in continuing, we're talking about how these different aspects of history get passed down. So without writing, oral passage. So now, if we rely purely on oral passage for information to get passed down collectively, how efficient or how successful would that have been? So we can question and provide that reference. But when we look more involved, we think about it in that context. Okay, so additionally, our topic being tonight technology. As we just described, writing being a definite technology and being a precursor, an essential component of the subsequent development of civilizations. And we look at it in a modern sense today, at it being essential to keep track of such massive amounts of data as we have. And in this information age is what we want to emphasize. Why our art form is based on the word and the letter form. It is based on those key principles. As it paralleled the development of computer and computer technology, graffiti went through a transformation as well when it became essential along with different aspects of technology development with programming languages. Now, for those of you who may not be familiar with different aspects of programming, which we'll delve into that a little bit later. All right, let's look at a little bit more video content here. As our topic is technology. Let's look at some of the different aspects that are going on now with graffiti technology. We talked briefly about the spray printer, which was an entrepreneurial endeavor, but essentially let's use it as a reference for technology. Again, which we'll have that up shortly in a moment. Another thing we want to talk about essentially was that first invention. So let's go back. So we look at tattoo guns. Essentially started out as a pen and the first electronic device. And it was used shortly for a while until the advent of the typewriter and subsequent development of cheaper solutions like the ballpoint pen. Another more direct tool that can relate to what we do as artists is this wall climbing robot. Technology for graffiti and street art or mural production utilizing aerosol mediums.
This is one of the strongest materials to make a line in the world. This is stronger than Kevlar. It can take more than 100 kilograms.
Well, this setup here, of course, still looks like a prototype, and it is. I think when it gets more developed, there will be a less mess of wires, tape, and multiple tripods.
This camera is for controlling the motion controller, for controlling the robot. And this is a camera module to control the printing, and this one also for printing. We want to add some resolution. One camera module can deliver 500 pixels times 500, but now we're printing 1000 times 500. So we were supposed to do this all automatically, but it turned out, as always, that stuff malfunctioned, and now I'm just controlling it with a trigger. Every time I pull the trigger, the robot changes direction in one.
Okay, now this is one of many types of technologies that are available as it relates. As you can see it in action here, sped up. The way it works, it paints like a dot matrix printer. But it is an aerosol medium produced for an aerosol audience. Okay, let's look at some more detailed stuff, some more rogue and guerrilla based things as well, as we want to give reference to all of these things. There's a host of machines that are available now that do different things as far as technology. Using spray paint, there's been numerous developments. So these are really involved things, and a lot of them are out of prototype stage, and as you'll see, take a look, give us a call. We're live at CAN TV. My name is Trickster, I'm your host, and we look forward to interacting with you. You can give us a call at 312-738-1060. This is the S.H.E Gallery Show. This episode we're talking about technology and technology development as it relates to graffiti and street art. We'd love to have you join us and share in this episode. Our essential series is based on the phenomenon of graffiti and all its facets. And each episode we talk about a different aspect of graffiti-based lore, activity, development, mural production, etc. All right, so let's join again, and we're gonna let's look at some additional technology development pieces. Okay, we talked recently about one of the graffiti artists that had some type of debilitating disorder, and some graffiti artists and other artists got together and developed some technology as he became paralyzed from the neck down to deliver his artwork and for other uses as well. We got quite a few different things going on here. You have, let's look at drones. You have virtual reality games. Before we go to drones, let's take a look at this. This is a virtual reality game called Kingspray, and it depicts all of the activities of graffiti artists and how they go out and paint murals and things of this nature. So these are commercial devices that are readily available in commerce or what have you. Just to give you an idea of the extensiveness, there's tons of VR games and things of that nature that are available. So there are a lot of things that cater to painting in the painting form are available. Things like this, like painting machines, technology. So there's a lot of things that cater to that development. But here is another artist that takes graffiti forms and they utilize lasers and technology to deliver different aspects of graffiti and graffiti-based art forms. So what they do is they paint on a large scale, and it challenges perception. It challenges mentalities that relate to it being a legal endeavor directly, because it's on a large scale, as you can see, and it's written with lasers. So what happens is it appears that there's writing on the building. It appears to be disruptive, or it appears to be shocking, but essentially it's not touching anything. So technology, I mean, it's being advanced, it's being done exhibition sense. They're doing full-scale pieces and traditional forms. So there's a lot of different things out there, laser tags. So technology is a big core of it. There is, take a look at this. This is a series that talks about different aspects of
Tonight is my distinct
a new
pleasure to
development
welcome Ivan Roth
in graffiti
to our
by Ivan Roth, and he's a producer out of New York. And here's a video that he's put together and some technology as it relates to graffiti and graffiti artists. So there's a lot of technology.
At the Party exhibition, Graffiti Born in the Streets, I'm going to be showing two pieces, graffiti analysis and graffiti taxonomy. Graffiti analysis is a custom piece of software that records and visualizes the motion of graffiti tags. So I'm going to be meeting with both international and Parisian graffiti artists involved in the exhibition, capturing their tags into the system, and then projecting them in the gallery. I'm also, for the first time, going to be making available the source code as well as the standalone applications for Mac, Windows, and Linux. So if you're a graffiti writer interested in capturing your own tag, you can download the necessary requirements and do that. If you're a computer programmer and you're interested in making your own visuals of graffiti writers' tags, you can do that as well. I'll also be working closely with the Foundation Cartier towards creating a Paris-specific version of my graffiti taxonomy project that will happen on the facade of the museum. The result of this study aims to show the diversity in styles that can be seen in an individual letter form as written by the graffiti community in Paris. And my hope is that this will be some sort of learning tool or offer some sort of glimpse into what graffiti writers see when they navigate the city. For those of you not in Paris, I'll also be creating a web-based version of the Graffiti Taxonomy project that can be viewed on the Foundation Cartier website.
So thousands of artists
Cartier for making this possible. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in Paris.
hand styles to depict different components. He has an analysis system that allows artists to contribute to a collective archive of tags and he interrelates them in different ways and how they affect motion and movement. So these are just some of the preliminary things that we can look at. Let's look at, we have some graffiti drones. Let's look at some drone graffiti. Okay, just a second. Yeah, this is drone graffiti. Technology. We're live on CAN TV. CanTV.org/hotline. Please join us. This is the S.H.E Gallery Show. I'm your host, Trickster. We're talking about graffiti and street art. This episode, we're focusing on technology. So we're looking at different aspects of technology-based artistic creation and using, graffiti and street art forms. Okay, we're having a little difficulty with the video. Let me switch over. Again, we're live at CAN TV. This is Trickster, I'm your host. We're talking about technology. We have a minute left. We appreciate you joining us for this session tonight. We've looked at some drones. We've looked at digital walls.
Hi, my name is Evan Ross. I'm an artist. I used to live in New York City and now I'm based out of Hong Kong. My role within the graffiti community is mostly as a researcher and technologist. 3 years ago, I co-founded.
Okay, so yeah, we're having some technical difficulties. Excuse us, but again, we appreciate you joining us for this session. We look forward to seeing you for the next session of the S.H.E Gallery Show. Thanks again. I'm Trickster, your host. In our next session, we'll talk a little bit more about science.
Computer hacking.
Thanks again.
Community and the graffiti community.